Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, January 12th, 2021, is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verses 21 through 28. Here's verse 21. And they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and was teaching. So Jesus and his disciples went into the town of Capernaum. And when it was the Sabbath day, they went into worship in the synagogue. And Jesus began teaching in the synagogue. Well, it is something for us to remember. This should be our routine, that whenever it is the Sabbath, and for us as Christians, that's Sunday, but whenever it is the Sabbath, we should be going in to worship with other believers. And so that's what Jesus used to do. And it's what we should be doing. Verse 22, and they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority and not as the scribes. Well, those in the synagogue were astonished at Jesus' teaching. What was it that they were astonished by? Well, by his authority. He taught as one in authority and not as the scribes who taught without authority. And what does this mean? Well, the scribes would quote other rabbis and their opinions and their understandings, their teachings, and not the scribe's own. Jesus taught his understanding, and he didn't necessarily quote anybody else. Verse 23, and immediately there was in their synagogue a man who had an unclean spirit. And he cried out, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Well, a man with an unclean spirit is in the synagogue, and that should be really no surprise to us. We have people in the church with unclean spirits all the time. The unclean spirit cried out to Jesus and calls him by name and asks if he's come to destroy them, meaning the unclean spirits in the man. And they identify Jesus. We know who you are, the Holy One of God. Well, isn't it amazing how evil knows who Jesus is? But the Jewish leadership and the Jewish people really don't recognize him. And the evil spirits can even name Jesus, but the people present don't really seem to be able to do that. They don't know he's the Holy One of God. Sometimes we can tell others about Jesus and they just don't seem to understand or won't seem to understand what we're saying. Don't get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated, but don't get frustrated. Just continue to say who Jesus is to them. That's what we're called to do. Verse 25 and following. But Jesus rebuked him, saying, be silent and come out of him. And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying out in a loud voice, came out of him. And they were all amazed, so that they questioned among themselves, saying, what is this? A new teaching with authority? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. So Jesus told the unclean spirit to be silent, okay? Because it was too early for everybody to know who he was, and the unclean spirits obeyed. They were. Then he ordered the unclean spirit to come out of the man. Well, with a little bit of show, a little bit of fanfare, the unclean spirit came out of the man. Well, all those present were amazed and wondered about this. And, Jesus' teaching, the fact that even the unclean spirits obeyed him, it seemed all kind of amazing to him. It seemed like Jesus had authority, not only authority in his teaching, but authority in his command over unclean spirits. And what we should kind of take from that is the power that Jesus has, including power over unclean spirits, power to silence them, power to expel them from human beings, and power to teach in a way that has authority to it. Verse 28, and at once his fame spread everywhere throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee. Well, communities are communities, they're the same through the past several millennium. Gossip has been the same through the centuries, especially in small towns. The word of Jesus' exorcism in the synagogue has spread throughout the region. The word about his teaching and his power has become known to the people in the area. Jesus' fame would continue to spread because people began talking about him and what he had done. You see, this is the way Jesus is made known to others. People talk about him and they testify to what he has done, especially what he has done in their own life. Who have you told about Jesus? And what do you share about what he's done in your life? Go in peace, serve the Lord.